I think the last week of September, I was like driving from my best friend's house and then my phone rang and I was like, I really don't like to answer weird numbers.
Tyricia, I would love to have you on the show. You're incredible.
Well, it wasn't him. It was the producer. I wish it. I mean, if it would have been him, I'm like, oh my God.
Pull over.
But yeah. So the producer called. He was like, hey, Tyricia. I'm like, hey, he's like, I just call and let you know that you've been chosen to be on the show. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like excited. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, is this a joke?
Right.
I want to be like, how do I know this is you? Like,
You're listening to Board with Nelly.
Welcome back to another episode of Board with Nelly. Today I'm joined by Tyricia Shine Queen Clark. Is that your patented nickname or what?
We're working on it.
We gotta get the merch out. For people that don't...
I got some,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead. I was actually going to give you a much better intro, but yeah.
I have some shirts in the process, so yeah.
I heard you were saying you were going to work on some merch, so I'm definitely going to pick up some shirts. But yeah, she's an experienced pastry chef from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and you can also catch her on Netflix's School of Chocolate. So this is a strange maybe one for people to think like I don't watch School of Chocolate, but I was addicted to the show. Reached out to you, and I'm so happy that I get to talk to you today.
Great, me too. I'm excited.
First podcast for you?
Yes.
Wow, it's an honor. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, this is episode 50 for me, so wow, what a difference there. So I want to ask you about your kind of childhood growing up in Louisiana and the cuisine there. What were you most kind of excited about? What kind of food did you like eating, and is that kind of what sparked your journey?
I mean, growing up in Louisiana, we're in the Gulf of Mexico, so seafood is number one here. And I think, of course, a lot of our holidays and stuff growing up was surrounded around desserts. So that's when I kind of got my fingers into it. Always in the kitchen helping my grandma make like mini pecan pies. And my grandfather's favorite was Italian cream cake.
Right.
So just in the kitchen with her baking and stuff, I just enjoyed it. And I like to help and I love to eat. So I was always in the kitchen. That's kind of how I got into cooking because I was greedy.
Right.
So I was always in the kitchen waiting for the food to get done. So I'm watching everything that's happening. But to get into culinary, that was like way later. Actually growing up, I always said I never wanted to work in the kitchen. So it was really funny. Oh yeah, I was like, I don't want to work in the kitchen. I want to work behind a desk. Da-da-da-da.
Who says that? Behind a desk? I want to work in a cubicle with no windows. Like what?
I wanted to dress cute and stuff to work. I didn't want to be hot and sweating in the kitchen.
Right. That's fascinating. What's the traditional food in that area? What's popular?
Cajun. Cajun, just like Cajun. It's Cajun is southern, so it's like red beans, crawfish etouffee, fried catfish, po' boys, boiled crawfish. We love boiled crawfish, boiled crabs.
What's the specialty in New Orleans? It's like the jambalaya. No, what's it called? Like it's the stew or whatever. Or there's a name for it.
There's jambalaya.
I know that
etouffee, crawfish etouffee.
Yeah,
the stew. Maybe. I don't really know. Gumbo?
Yeah,
my gumbo.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That's the one I always thought. I'm like, man,
that's like nothing to me. I'm like, the specialty.
Is that like a regular a soup for you? Like you don't even think about it, really?
Yeah, I know. If we want, that's like whenever we want soup. That's normally what we go to. I have another favorite, which is crab and corn soup.
Right.
But other than that, we always make gumbo. Whenever it's cold, we're like, oh, gumbo.
What's cold for you? I'm from Canada, so I'm trying to figure out what's a cold day for you guys over there.
So, okay. I live in Chicago.
Yes.
So I experienced the negatives and stuff like that. But when I was in Chicago, it was like I knew I was in Chicago, so I had the mentality it's going to be cold. So being back in Louisiana and it being like, I can't even I don't even like it to be 40. Like right now, today we had like this. Let me see, what's the temperature
I'm
today?
gonna look it up actually. Yeah,
It's 46 degrees right now. It's not that cold, but when it gets to 39 in Louisiana, we're like, oh my God, it's freezing. And I'm like turning my heater up, and it's a mess. I don't know.
It's so funny when you get used to, like you get used to something else and your mindset completely changes.
Yeah, and I just knew when I came back to Louisiana, it was going to be hot and warm all the time because it seemed like every time I would call home when I was in West Virginia or Chicago, it was always hot when it was freezing. Like they were like, oh, it's 70 degrees. And I'm like, what? I mean, valid yesterday, it did get up to 90, but
yeah,
when it goes down to 46 the next day, it's like, oh, Lord, here we go again.
I was in Spain a couple years ago, and it was like in the 50s in the wintertime for them. And for them, it's like they're free. They're brought out their like winter clothes, and I'm like walking around in shorts. I'm like, what are you guys doing? Are you guys like crazy? They're like, oh, this is a perfect season to put out my little winter coat and everything. Like they get like a week where they can wear it, and then after that goes back to being like in the 70s, 80s.
Right.
So, so where does, I guess, the transition from trying to kind of not wanting to be in the kitchen to eventually becoming a pastry chef? How do we go from like you wanting so badly to work in an office to dedicating your life to this profession?
Right. So in between all of that, I was a manager of a pet hospital.
Yes.
And I got fired from that job, unfortunately. And I was like unemployed for a while. In that time of unemployment, I applied to like this. I was making cakes for my nephew the whole time I was working there. Once my sister had a baby, we bought a cake for his baby shower, and we like pay like $200, $300 for it. My sister was like, "Never again will I allow you to pay that much money for a cake when you freaking make the cake." Right. And I was like, "Who said I can make it?" She's like, "No, you can make that cake." So like for his first birthday, his favorite candy was Kit Kats. So I made like this replica Kit Kat candy cake, and I made the fondant. I made everything from scratch, and it was really cool. I was like, she was like, "I told you can make these cakes. We're never buying a cake again. Like you're never spending $200 on a cake again." So
can I ask how you got fired from a pet hospital? Is that a tough question to answer, or is that like?
I don't even know how I got fired. It was like this girl lied on me and stuff. So,
oh Jesus!
And things weighed out in her favor more than mine.
Oh my God! There's drama at pet hospitals. God damn it!
It was so much drama. It was crazy, and I hear it's even more drama. I think she still works there, but nobody else does. So that tells you a lot.
You would think in a place like a pet hospital, everyone would be so happy with all the cute animals and stuff, and they would have no. Wow, what a time we live in.
Yeah. So,
did you watch YouTube videos to make that first cake, or did you already know how to bake? Like, how did you even get the original?
I knew how to bake. Like during high school, I would bake cupcakes and stuff for like I was on a dance squad. So sometimes I would like, I want to bring something to school to share with people. So I would like bake cupcakes and like just bring a bunch of cupcakes and say, "You want a cupcake?" Like I'll be walking down the hallway, like, "You want a cupcake?" And people were like, "Sure." I'm like, "Yeah, take it." Definitely can't do that now in the days of COVID, but, so I always baked and stuff. I would make cakes for friends, and it was just like when my sister said you can make you make it. I don't know why I didn't just go buy the fondant. I guess back then fondant wasn't a regularly used thing, but I was aware of it. So I was like, I'm going to make my own fondant. So I made like this marshmallow fondant. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like fantastic, but for say my first fondant cake, I think it was pretty decent.
Yeah. Would you get compliments when people were like, "Oh, who made this? This is really good."
Yeah, they were like, "Oh my God, who made that?" Dude, I'm like, me. All I cared about was my nephew's reaction. And he was like, "Oh my God," so that was all that I cared about. I felt bad one year because I made him a cake. He wanted I think it was like an Elmo cake or something. And I really wasn't in the mood of baking. I don't know. I was just not in the mood. But I knew I had to make my baby a cake. So I made the cake, and it was so ugly. I didn't put any effort into it. And when he saw it, he was so overwhelmed with excitement. And I felt so bad. I literally was about to cry because I'm like, I could have done so much better. And he would have been, I'm like, he's so excited. This cake looks horrible. But I should have did better for him because he's so excited. But yeah, so
the cake thing, when you mess up the cake thing for a kid, it's like you ruin Christmas for them. Like I have a photo when I was a kid,
upset,
like I was so sad.
He wasn't upset, but he was so happy, and I was like, "Oh, it's so ugly," and he's so happy. That's why I felt bad.
Okay, I got you.
Did a little better. Yeah, no, he wasn't upset. He hasn't been upset yet with cake.
I thought he was upset about the kind of cake he got because, like, I thought that's what you meant. Like, he wasn't happy with it. Okay. When I was a kid, I wanted this one chocolate cake. I remember we were like, I was younger, and I think I don't know, we didn't have a lot of money, so I think my mom bought like a fruit cake or something like that. Mm-hmm. And there's this photo of me as a kid, just looked like she killed me or something. Like inside, I was looking like this. I was like a sad puppy. I was like, and the cake, you can see the cake in the photo. I'm like, this is timeless.
Oh. You got to post it today. It might become a meme or something.
Honestly, I'm like, how did this not become a meme? Like, it's a perfectly nice, it's a fine cake. There's nothing wrong with it. Just like, I'm such a spoiled little kid. I'm like, fruit, Mom?
Yeah.
I've been eating fruit. I want chocolate. Right. So, yeah, how do you go from then? Okay, so you like making cakes for people for fun. How does it turn into, like, let's see if we can turn this into a business and let's stop being a manager at a pet hospital?
Well, I mean, in that time of unemployment, it was just like soul searching. I'm like, okay, so what do I need to do? And I got introduced to the Culinary School through the news channel. Did like this bake-off contest. I was like, well, I've been baking cakes for my nephew. Let me just try to get on this, this contest. This contest on the show. So I apply. They made you make like 4 different cupcakes to do a tasting. You go through that process, and then they pick like the top 12 from that. And after I was picked for the top 12 out of like hundreds of people, I was like, well, maybe I'm onto something because, like I was making the flavors and stuff up myself. And that was like in the beginning of the cupcake phase. It wasn't like now or like when it was at its peak. And when I got introduced to the school, I was like, okay, maybe I should get a degree in this because I mean, I tried college once and didn't do good then. So let me try this. Since this it seems like all my, I don't know the term, but like everything was lined up.
I got you. Your stars aligned or whatever. Yeah, I got
that's it. My stars were aligning. So I was like, well, okay, this must be my sign. I've been asking for it. So I just went at it and did it.
What were your plans before that? What were you trying to do? Like, what were you thinking of doing before that kind of took off?
I had no plan.
Nothing, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And it was like my stepdad was like always, he kept talking, baby girl, what are you going to do? What are you, like, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, it hasn't come to me yet. Why are you trying to force me to do something that it isn't? I was like, it needs to come naturally. And yeah, so all that happened. And it was just like, okay, well, this is it,
That's awesome.
So, I mean, yeah. So then during culinary school, I hated like the lecture classes, so I would never like pay attention. And
that's fair.
But like I love the lab classes, and I started getting more into it. Like I knew how to bake and all the basics. Like I knew when I went to culinary school, I didn't want to just do cakes. I'm like, I want to do like the fancy, nice stuff,
Okay.
So.
You mean like other kinds of food, or I'm sorry, I'm really ignorant when it's culinary school and that kind of stuff. But is it like other food or other kinds of like desserts?
Other kind of desserts. When I went to culinary school, I went on a baking and pastry track only. We had like one savory class, and that was it.
Interesting. Mm-hmm. Were you thinking like maybe I can get also a chef job? You were specifically targeting like pastry, right? Is that like a shorter program or what was the thought process? Same time. I was like, people love sweet. Right.
We started going away. I don't know why I didn't want to go to the savory side. I was like, I know how to cook. I don't need to learn how to cook. I felt like it was nothing they could teach me there. I felt like it was more that I didn't really know about in the baking and pastry that drew me in. I don't know. It was just like, do this, not, it was kind of weird.
I know very little about culinary school, so can you tell me what that kind of experience is like? What specifically do they teach you, and what did you like really value from that?
Okay, so my specific school, they wanted you to work while you were in school. So the pastry program was at night because most pastry jobs are in the morning. So you would work in the morning and then they wanted you to come to school at night. We had like 4 electives, like math, English, I think psychology,
yeah.
maybe just 3. And then it was mainly, we did like lectures. We had to, figure out the history of the sauces. We have to, I mean, I don't really know because I kind of I don't remember. I mean,
it's
it was
okay.
just like
I get it. No, I get it.
We would do the lecture part, and then we would go in the lab and actually make the stuff. So we learned like how to laminate the doughs. You learn about the quick doughs, which is like you could do muffins and like what else are quick doughs? I know muffins are quick dough.
If your teacher's watching this right now, he's like, she better get all of them. We
Oh no. They know better. I recently just went to one of the culinary schools in New Orleans and did a demo for one of my teachers.
Oh wow!
Who used to teach at the school class here, and like I was talking to like one of the office ladies at the school, and she was like, "Oh, did you imagine that you'll be here helping Chef Angela?" Da, 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 da. And I was like, actually, me and Chef Angela really didn't get along at school. I was like, I really disliked her, and everybody in the class used to always laugh because they said, "You guys don't like each other because you are just alike." And I was like, I'm not like her. Like, wow. That woman is crazy. Da, da, da. And now that I'm older and I've experienced a lot of different things, I realized, oh, I am like her. But and then like when I was saying that the other day, she was like, yeah. She was like, I knew it. She was like, I knew you were gonna be one of the good ones. I'm like, geez, I could, because like it was like to me when I was in culinary school, I felt like it was my last chance to do what I wanted to do as a chef. Because once you get in the industry and working for different people, you have to do exactly what they want to do, how they want to do it, and like that. So like in culinary school, we'll be doing an assignment and she'll tell us to set it up. And I was like, I would set it up my way. And she would come like, no, you can't do it like that. I'm like, you told us to set it up. I set it up how I wanted it. Right. Now you tell me I can't. She was like, well, you need to do it like this. And I'm like, why? I was like, why? I don't understand. And then she was like, because. I'm like, but you didn't tell us that in the instructions. So I did what you told me to, but now you're coming and correcting. I was like, she's just doing it because she just wants to put her hands on my stuff.
Right.
So it was like, it was weird. And then like I would pick like certain colors and I was like, why did you do that? I'm like, this is my favorite color and I want to do it this way because I don't know if I'll ever be able to do this thing in this color ever again because I'll be working for somebody else. Was my mindset. I'm like, do what you want. I mean, not like I was great or anything, but like do what you want now because who knows how long it'll be before you'll be in your own place or something, be able to do what you want and not what everybody else wants. So, yeah.
Well, then when you finished school, then you went to work, obviously, like a hotel, right? A resort?
So in my last couple classes of culinary school, my teachers got introduced to apprenticeship program at the Greenbrier. And I guess they had approached them and asked them who did they think would be best for their program, stuff like that. So they came to me.
Really?
And they came to me, I was like,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
They came.
Yeah. That was your reaction?
I was like,
me?
It was like, me?
It's like a Chappelle bit or something. Me?
I was like, who else did you guys talk to? It's like, just you. I'm like,
yeah.
Why? Well, in culinary school, I also gave a lot of my teachers a hard time because in my mindset, I was going to finish culinary school and go work like on a cruise ship or go across seas and work somewhere. That was my mindset. Yeah. Okay, hold on.
No worries. We can edit that out. No worries.
I just gotta take it.
You're cooking something? You're baking something?
Yeah, king cake.
Well, this is perfect. I actually might even keep this in the pod. This is even funnier. we interrupt this break with a cooking break.
My king cake fresh
wow,
out of the oven.
Very nice. We were talking about you starting to get a job at a. Well, actually, no. You getting sorry, what was the Greenbrier?
Well, my mindset was that I directly wanted to go into like cruise ship or go work in France or somewhere wherever I can go.
You wanted to travel?
Okay. I wanted to get like. I've always loved the classic French pastries. So that and like how they did like the petite gâteaux and
something romantic about it, right? There's like a little romantic.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it was something like that. And I just love like even in school we would make like certain like a dubage. I probably said that wrong because I say a lot of stuff wrong.
I don't
but
know
it was
either.
like
Don't worry. Yeah.
okay. It's just like all the different layers and textures and flavors and stuff that you could put into one actual dessert. Just that always just intrigued me. So that's always been my draw in pastry. So during school, I was like, well, they would teach us everything Fahrenheit and ounces and pounds. And I was like, no, no, no. I was like, I need to know the metric system because I'm going to work across seas.
Right.
And like, they would like, no, just learn it the way. I'm like, no.
Again, rebel.
I was just like, why are you forcing me into this box when I'm trying to be this? And you're like, no.
That was actually your most fair rebellion because like literally everywhere else on the planet we use the metric system. It's only America.
Exactly. Exactly. So going to the apprenticeship in West Virginia at the Greenbrier, the chef, he's still there, was a former competitor in the World Chocolate Masters. So I thought that was like the coolest thing.
Right.
Working there.
I don't know much about that. What is the Chocolate Masters? Is that like a is that a TV show or just like an actual like competition?
It's a competition.
Okay, I was like, if there's a show, I would like to know where the hell to find this thing.
I mean, they go live and you can watch them kind of compete, but it's not a show.
Okay, damn it. All
right. So it's the World Chocolate Masters. They pretty much find the best chocolatiers in every country and make them compete against each other. And then they pick one to go to this bigger competition where each country is represented, and then they compete against each other. And there's a big winner. So in this competition, they do like these big 6 feet or bigger chocolate showpieces. They do bonbons, they do entremets, they do petite gâteaux, like petite entremets. And
that's really cool.
It all has to be like worked into their chocolate. So, and it's all on a theme, like they're giving a theme every year, but it's like so amazing. It's kind of like the show where you're given like 18 hours, you have to do this.
Right.
But they can come with stuff prepared and they have like an assistant and stuff. But it's like
that's really
cool. Really cool.
I didn't know there was so much chocolatier stuff, and like it's like a whole new world for me. When I found out, like, oh my god, how long have people been doing this? Like making stuff out of chocolate?
A long time.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. So while I was at the Greenbrier, I think the first year I was there, the pastry chef decided to do this chocolate display for Christmas. I think Christmas was the first one we did. Or we might have did I feel like we did Christmas first. And he built he got, when it came to the apprentice, he would come to us first to like get more experience doing the chocolate, but anybody in the kitchen who wanted to help could help. So it was just like we made all these presents out of chocolate. He made this gigantic sleigh.
Wow.
He made a Santa. I mean, it's really cool. I think I might have a picture somewhere I think maybe on my LinkedIn or something.
Okay. I'll pull it up if I can find it.
Yeah. So, I mean, just being introduced to that, and then like at the Greenbrier is like, it's called America's Resort. It's like, I think it was built like in the 1800s. I might be exaggerating, but it's really old.
It's old, yeah.
It's like it used to be like a military thing, I believe. Like they have a what are those rooms that they lock the presidents and stuff in? What are they called?
Oh, like a war room? I think it's called a war room.
Yeah,
or like an
it's another name.
Emergency room.
I don't know the name of it.
I know what you're talking about. I've played a lot of video games. I should know this.
They have one there.
Yeah.
And it's like whenever like bad things would happen, they would send everybody there and lock them, like all the presidents and people and lock them in there. It's still there. It's really cool. I mean, they kind of updated a little bit. But I mean, they also have a PGA tournament surrounded around the Greenbrier.
Okay, so there's a lot of money there. Good. That's what we're getting at. There's yeah. Jesus.
The richie, like the old money people, go there regularly. That's like, I mean, they make their most of their money from people. Like it's just tradition. People go every year. They've been doing it their whole life and stuff like that. So yeah. they have like these gold service dinners sometimes, and I like chef would call you and let you work on like sugar show pieces with him. I worked on a sugar show piece. He would do it, and he would want you to replicate it.
Wow.
Which was like, yeah, that's how I felt. I'm like, oh my God, this man has too much faith in me.
All
Kind of
right.
like Chef Amaury.
Yeah, right,
but,
right.
you know, I was like, okay, I can't let him down. Let me do it. So, I mean, that experience in itself kind of just threw you in the ringer, and, you know, you had to, you couldn't fail because he did not like it. And when it came to the apprenticeship things, like we had certain assignments and stuff we had to do, all that we had to do on our own time off the clock. We have like entremet showings. We would have chocolate bonbon showings. We would have to make pastillage. We had to do like a pastillage showpiece. We would have to do a chocolate showpiece.
Wow.
And things like that. When we started our freshman year, we would have to like pick a theme, and we had to stick to that theme, and everything had to kind of tie into that theme throughout the year.
Was your mind blown? Because like you were working with more like basic, let's say, desserts, and then you saw this whole nother world of what you could do with desserts and chocolate.
I don't think it was blown.
No?
Because I mean, I was aware of it,
right?
But to actually be applying it and doing it was I just felt I was just happy. I was just happy that I was getting this experience and I was able to do this, because I mean, when I got oh my God, I didn't even tell you like the worst part. So like I got this apprenticeship and I finished school. Like I think I had this, my start date for the apprenticeship was like 2 weeks after my last day of class. And I had found I had found an apartment. So you know Devin that was on the show, one of the assistants?
Yeah.
The guy?
Yep.
So he was at the Greenbrier. He was the one who introduced the program to my school, and he was like my connect with West Virginia because I knew no one out there, especially in this little small town. And I had talked to him, and he was renting a house from somebody, and the guy had an apartment behind the house. And he was like, okay, I have this person moving out. You can move in, such and such. Da-da-da. I think like a week after I finished school, the guy who was living in the apartment decided he didn't want to move. So I was like, wait, what? I'm moving out there next week. Where am I going to live? So it was just like, I had been like praying and stuff. And I was, you know, that's kind of how I fell into culinary school. It's like, I had just asked for direction, the stars aligned and stuff. So I was like, well, all this is done. I'm supposed to start this day. I'm just going to go and we'll figure it out once I get there. So like on the way there, I was like Devin was sending me numbers to places that had apartments for rent and stuff. And from what it was like, I found one. I was like, okay, that's in my budget. It's available. Da-da-da. The guy was like, okay, well, I have a key. This is the code. Check it out. Let me know what you want to do. So I get there in West Virginia. I meet Devin for the first time in person because I've never met him in life.
You're putting a lot of faith into people that you've never met, right? A little bit, yeah.
And me with anxiety. I mean, back then I didn't know I had anxiety, but it was driving me crazy. Like when I drove to West Virginia, I left pretty much everything because I watched too much CSI and Criminal Minds, and I was like, if I have too much stuff in my car, people are going to know I'm traveling,
my God, yeah,
and they're going to attack me.
That's not paranoia. That's just smart. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's not.
I was terrified. My mom and everybody was terrified, and I was like, trying to make my car look like I was just a regular person on the road and not traveling, not moving.
Right.
Because I didn't want to end up missing. So I get there, I go pick up Devin, and Devin's like, well, I'm going to take you so we can go see this apartment. We get there, and the apartment was like disgusting. It smelled like a wet dog. And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, do I have to do this? Because I really don't want to do this. And it was like, Devin was like, this is nasty. Luckily, he was agreeing with me. He's like, you can stay with me. He's like, you can stay with me until we figure something out. And I was like, are you sure? And I'm like, because it's somebody I had never met. And I was like, this is to me, it was a lot for him to offer and all that. So I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, okay.
That's great. The stars continue to align then. I mean,
that's how, to me, I was like, okay, that means this has got to mean I'm on the right track.
Yes.
Right. I'm like, I'm like, why would I fight this? All this is not happening and being arranged for me not to. It's like, it was to me. I was like, God was opening the door and he was just telling me to walk in. It's like, as the more I walked in, the better. So, I ended up staying with Devin for a little while. Another apartment ended up being available, and I moved in there. It was over a club in this small town, so it was like the walls were thin. It was horrible. I moved in there maybe a month or two, and I was like, "Yeah, this is." It was not. Well, I was in there, and it was okay. And then the apartment behind Devin became available, and I was like, "Oh my God,
right.
I cannot do this." So I mean, like as soon as it was available, I moved there. And Devin was my actual, because Devin was in the apprenticeship program too. He was my like I was a freshman, he was my junior or whatever. So I had to I was pretty much his slave also. So it was like crazy.
You did all the grunt work, right? You did all the
And to me, Devin would drive you into the ground. It was just like, he was so extra. It was just like, oh my God. So
he's like, remember that time I let you stay in my apartment? All right, get back, get it done.
That was like, so, okay. So when we got to the set on the show, well, no, when we got to quarantine on the show, me and Devin, I followed him on maybe not Instagram, but I followed him on Facebook because we were friends from when we worked together. And, I was just like watching his story and I saw his story and I was like, is he here? Because I could see the hotel place.
Right,
like, that was, I started looking at my walls and I was like, Devin shouldn't be on this show. That's what I thought. Because Devin has also competed to be in the World Chocolate Masters.
Wow.
So I was like,
this better not be my competition, right? Yeah.
I was like, what? I was like, oh, I got all inside. I was like, Devin can't be fucking competing in this show. That's how I felt. So when we finally get on set and stuff and we're in the room with all the people, Devin's not there. So I'm like, I know he's in LA. I know he's here in the same hotel. I was like, what the hell? So they had us in this meeting outside one day. And long behold, Devin walks up. But he's not supposed to be we're not supposed to see him apparently because the people went and got him and dragged him off or whatever.
Right.
And I was like, okay, well, he's not competing. So what the hell is he doing on the show? Because I'm like, he didn't know Amaury as far as I knew it.
Right.
And stuff like that. So it was we were going through reading all the rules and signing off on this stuff. And they were we got to this rule was if you know anybody that you feel like could be a conflict, interest or whatever, because I had already been talking in the green room and I was I had told everybody, I was like, Devin's here. And he was like, yeah, I saw, because a lot of them followed him on Instagram too. They was like, yeah, I saw that he was at the same hotel. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, but we haven't seen him. And he was like, I don't know. So when and I was like, I told him I had worked for him and stuff, we had worked together, Greenbrier and stuff like that. So also in this process, before all the filming, when we first got introduced, it was 12 people. It was 12 chefs. And all the rules and stuff were saying only 8. So we were like, why is there 12 people here? We were like, what kind of stuff are they about to do? If they said no eliminations, what kind of tricks do they have in their sleeve? Apparently they had 4 alternates in case anything happened, in case somebody didn't make it out of quarantine and stuff like that. But we didn't know that. And we were in the green room and talking and stuff. And we were like, well, do you know if you're an alternate?
Right. How do you know you're the real one? Yeah.
Right. And they were nobody was the people who worked for Netflix or the So Delicious couldn't really say anything. So you're just looking at me I don't know, stuff like that.
Suspense and mystery.
And then the people weren't saying anything. Come to find out, they knew they were alternates, but they didn't. They weren't supposed to tell us. But I remember me, Melissa, and Daniel were well, what the hell? I know we not why did they bring us out here all this time and we're just gonna be sent back home because we didn't know that they already knew they were alternates. So we get out there and the alternate people are banking, hoping. Well, I felt like they got a glimpse of light when I told them that I knew Devin and I had worked for Devin. They were like, so that rule came up about, do you feel like it's a conflict or anything, to bring it up? So I raised my hand. I was like, everybody knows. And they're betting for me to go home.
Really?
So, oh my God.
It's
It was like they were hoping to God that because I knew him, I couldn't compete. So like the producer came and talked to me. I was like, well, I said, I've seen someone who's on set, but they're not here, but I know them and I've worked with them before. And he was like, okay. He was like, who are you talking about? I was like, well, Devin. And he was like, okay. He was like, well, do you feel like it'll be a issue, or you feel like he'll play favor to you? And I was like, oh, hell no. Like,
I'm at a disadvantage.
I'm like, if anything, he's going to be really, really tough on me. I was like, it was not that way. I'm like, no favoritism for sure. I'm like, if anything, he's going to be extra critical. And he was like, okay. He was like, you should be fine. And I was like, oh, thank God. And I know that like killed a bunch of people's like dreams, because I was like, oh, I get to still do it. So that was really cool, because that was my first time seeing him since I had left the Greenbrier, which had been like 5 years. So I mean, we just kind of like saw.
Where did you leave to go?
I left the Greenbrier. So my aunt has always had heart disease. It kind of runs my family. My grandfather died from it. My auntie had it a long time, and then my second year in the Greenbrier, it got really bad. So it was to a point, my family is really, really close knit, that I felt like I needed to be closer to home in case anything happened. I can easily get there. Because flights out of West Virginia weren't cheap, and it was a 15-hour drive. So it was like nothing I could rush home to. So I started looking for opportunities in the South. I ended up moving and relocating to the Hilton Austin, the Hilton in downtown Austin, where I was the pastry chef de partie is how I went into the position. In my time at the position, it was a pastry chef over me who was, he was very talented. He knew everything, but he was just like real old school. He was like,
he was anal.
And he still did a lot of stuff. He did a lot of stuff old school and stuff like that. And it was like, I came in, and in the time that I came in, they had started doing a revamp of the food and beverage outlets at the hotel. So it was like, I started giving our ideas, and I was talking to different chefs in the outlets and stuff. And they just kind of drew to me. And it kind of got to where I was stepping up a lot and doing a lot of stuff, to where eventually, in the time, I didn't know they were doing it, but they eventually eliminated his position. So they like let the guy go and then eliminate the position, which was a good thing for me because I didn't have to deal with him anymore. But it was also a bad thing because there was no room for me to grow at this hotel, because I was I was still had the title pastry chef party, but I was doing all the managerial stuff.
Oh my! You were basically doing his job, but not getting paid the salary he was getting paid. I see.
Tell me about it.
Oh my God, that's cold. Jesus.
It was so cold. That in like my second year there, they opened a new Fairmont downtown Austin, and I was like, I'm gonna go try and go there, work for them, somewhere I could grow, because there was more growth here. And it seemed like all the positions that I had applied for in the Hilton, well, to me, okay, so the executive chef, they're gonna hate me if they watch this. The executive chef at that hotel, he would always like give me good pep talks, and you could do a lot of stuff, you could do this. And when it came to like my annual review, he would say, well, I don't think you're ready for the next step, or something like, I don't think you're this. And I'm like, how all year up until now, I've been ready for the next position, and I'm doing this for the next position, but now
the other ones are compliments and the other ones are money related. Like, I can give you free compliments all day, but when it's time to pay you a bit more, then it's like, oh, well, I got to change my story.
I would get the pay raises. It's just when it came to me applying to like positions higher than mine. And it wasn't even at that hotel. It was just the fact that he would probably lose me to somewhere else. It was like, no, you're not ready.
Wow.
Because ultimately, I think he had to give the green light for, me to go anywhere. So yeah, I mean, I revamped all the food and beverage outlets because they did like they closed all the restaurants they had and opened new ones. And we did like a whole revamp of the banquet menus and stuff like that, which I bit off a lot for the pastry program there, but it was all successful. Like I made it work for the most part.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and then it got to a point, I had applied to Fairmont. I think I got the offer at the Fairmont. I was supposed to leave. And I put my 2 weeks in at the Hilton, and like the assistant GM and the GM pulled me and like, we have meeting. They were like, wow, we cannot lose you.
Wow.
Which I think was the word. I've always read the articles that say when they counter you, never stay, because then, things just change. But I stayed. I mean, I got almost a $10 raise.
Wow.
Because I was like, I'm doing all this manager stuff and I'm not getting paid it. And it was like, because I was still hourly because I wasn't management.
That's incredible. $10 raise.
I didn't get a 10. I think I went from 16 to 24. So $8.
That's pretty good. But that's still pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, and granted, I got like a ton of overtime. So it was actually way more than that.
Gotcha.
They were like, you can't get any overtime. I'm like, well, okay. And then it would come to, I'm like, well, I'm at my 40 hours. And I was like, what? And it's like, no. You have to stay.
Nice.
I'm like,
right.
I'm like, do you want me to manage the department or do you want me to get everything done?
Force their hand. That's the best way to do it.
I mean, I didn't want to do it, but they didn't want to give me a management position. They were like, well, the thing was, because they eliminated the position, it would look really bad if they went back wanting to add the position.
I gotcha.
So they rather just deal with it that way. And I was like, maybe somebody should have consulted me before you eliminated the position completely. Like you should have made something other than that position, but it was fine with me, whatever. So I ended up doing that for like another year and I like got completely burnt out. And it was to me, our department was like stepping up for a lot of other departments and doing a lot. And we weren't like really being recognized. And every time I would apply to like grow into a higher position or a different hotel, I wouldn't get the chance. So I was like, okay, well,
I'm at a dead end kind of, right? Yeah.
Right. I was trying to stay loyal to Hilton. I'm like, well, I'm just going to start applying outside of Hilton because I feel like somebody in this hotel is blocking me from growing in the company. So I'm going to go to a different company. And I just I had been applying for places like for a year. Like since like when they countered me, ever since then I was like applying for places. And I had done like a bunch of interviews and tastings and stuff. And like nothing had just really panned out. And then I finally like applied at the Sheraton Green in Chicago, which the chef at the Hilton told me I could never work in Chicago because it was a unionized place and you won't be able to do your union, stuff like that. Because I had applied at the Hilton in Chicago too. And he's like, I don't think you're ready for union, whatever.
They're just trying to keep they're trying to say anything to keep, my God.
It was so discouraging though, because it's like you would get all these compliments and you getting all this praise and, you were doing good. But then it's like, well, you're doing this good, but you're still not good enough, So it was just kind of like really discouraging. It was very, I want to say abusive, but it's probably not the word, but like very like demeaning to my morale. So I mean, I got that opportunity at the Sheraton Grand. I went and did a tasting there. They offered me the position. The chef was like, I think you could do it. It's some learning. He's like, you definitely will have to step out of the kitchen. That's the toughest part. It's just having to step back from baking and cooking all the time. But he said, you do get the opportunities when we have like VIP stuff and you can do your own, you can do your own thing rather than what, the union workers do.
How did you like those positions? Like, hey, how did you like those positions? Because you were talking earlier about like this corporate cubicle job, but then you kind of get that job in a pastry sense. Did you have any like freedom to do whatever you wanted? How did you feel?
I enjoyed it for the most part. I felt like I had a good bit of freedom. The only The only bad part about the freedom in the union hotels is like if you change something, once you change it, there's no going back. So say they're like buying a product when you got there, and then you decide to make it from scratch. Once you start making it from scratch, of course, it takes more time for this product to be made, et cetera, et cetera. You can't go back to buying it, because then the union workers can go and say, you're cutting our hours by, because
everything is agreed upon earlier, and I got you. Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
You just have to be really logistic with your decisions, because it could always come back and bite you in the butt.
That's a very corporate thing, right? That's corporate structure. You have to go down this hallway and you can't look anywhere else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then, it was just like, I got a lot of freedom. I got to do more. I got to actually work more on chocolate stuff there, because none of the workers knew chocolate. So that was something that I knew how to do specifically. So they couldn't, file a grievance or anything against me doing chocolate, because they weren't skilled. I could try and teach them, but still they wouldn't be skilled to the level of the stuff
they'll be behind regardless, right?
Right. You can assist me, but you can't. You can't do it, right?
That's great.
It was a lot of opportunities there. And then it was also we had a lot of like site visits and VIP stuff that I got to do my stuff. So I would get to play with my flavors. I would get to do my plating, and it was just all me for the most part.
That's cool. Very cool.
If I had too many meetings and things like that, I can ask my team to help me make the stuff. But other than that, it wasn't like an issue of them saying, well, you changed it, so now we have to always do it. No, it's not that thing, because it was just a VIP and it's a one-time thing.
That's really cool. When does the show come into? When does the Netflix show come into the picture?
So COVID hit, like February of
2020, early 2020, I think, right? Yeah, early 2020, like March. I know. My calendar is off. I have these last 2 years have been like, completely awash. Yeah, I think that's 2020. Yeah,
that was it. February 2020. I think I got furloughed March 18th, 2020. So I'm at home just waiting for COVID to be over. What we all thought, right? So I get like a DM on LinkedIn one day, and it's like, hey, I saw your profile. Da, da, da. I have this show concept. Do you have time where I can explain it to you more? I looked at this DM. I'm like, well, no, I got the DM on Instagram. But you know how LinkedIn notifies you when people look at your profile?
Yeah.
So I saw the guy had looked at my LinkedIn profile, and I saw that it was the same guy in the Instagram. So I was like, okay.
A lot of effort, yeah. Are they scamming me for this?
Right. I'm like, two places. I'm like, and back then it was like people weren't really going on your LinkedIn unless it was really professional. So it's kind of okay. So I was like, sure, do. So he calls me, he gives me this whole spiel. They tell you this really famous chef. They don't tell you your name or anything. So I was like, okay, why not? I'm sitting here doing nothing. Why would I not try this? So they send you like this application. You have to fill out the application. They ask, and then they're like, okay, we have to set up a Zoom meeting with you and like a producer or somebody. So they do that. They ask you all the questions and stuff. And I'm just going through the motions, because it's nothing else to do. Let's see what happens. I think it gets to be like, it's like June.
Oh, wow. It took that long to go from when he messaged you to when?
It was like a bunch of little stuff in between. But I think the end of June, they messaged me. It's like, okay, well, they decided they need to get another video of you making, like they gave us 3 different type of desserts or whatever, 3 different things. And I'm like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, it's the summer in Chicago. I don't live in a house with, circulated air. I have like window units. And I don't have access to my professional kitchen, which most of my tools are in. And they're asking me to do this. I don't have access to the suppliers to get the good chocolate. So I'm like, I have to go to the grocery store and see what I can figure out. I mean, I go, I do it. I make the videos. When I'm making the videos, I'm like, my sister came in town. It was like beginning of July by now because I had to make a deadline. And I'm like, can you record me doing this stuff? And it's like the worst thing ever. I'm like, this has got to be horrible. I'm like, they're never going to pick me from this or whatever. But I just did it. I went through the motions. I was like, okay. So fast forward, I decided to move back to Louisiana. I think the week I got here, they contacted me. Hey, we need you to do a small chocolate showpiece and some macaroons. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, I don't have a kitchen. I don't have supplies. So I called that teacher that I couldn't stand in culinary school. I'm like, hey, chef. I'm like, is there any chance?
How's it going? I missed you.
Well, me and her always message randomly, but whatever. So I told her, I was like, hey, I need to access the kitchen and stuff. I got to do this. I told her, I was like, I'm applying for this show. They need this video. Da, da, da. She was like, yeah, sure. She was over the pastry program at the University in New Orleans. So I was like, she was like, yeah. I was like, oh my God. This lady, I couldn't stand this lady in school, but she is coming through for me.
Right.
So I was like, so I went and did that or whatever. I made like a little, what did I make? I made like this little stand and I put like an egg on top of it. It was like, I have the videos, they're horrible. But yeah, so I had to like edit it to make it short down to a certain amount of time and stuff. And I sent it off and I was like,
all right.
I doubt I get picked from that. But yeah, so I mean, that's July. I ended up moving to like San Antonio because I thought I wanted to be in San Antonio for a while. And it was like, that was in September. I didn't get the call for the show until like, I think the last week of September. I was like driving from my best friend's house and my phone rang and I was like, I really don't like to answer weird numbers.
Tyricia, I would love to have you on the show. You're incredible.
Well, it wasn't him. It was the producer. I wish if it would have been him, I'm like, oh my God. No.
Pull over.
But yeah. So the producer called. He was like, hey, Tyricia. I'm like, hey, he's like, I just call and let you know that you've been chosen to be on the show. I was like, what? And he was like, yeah. He was like excited. I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, is this a joke?
Right.
I want to be like, how do I know this is you? Like, how do I know someone is not playing on my top or whatever like that? So, I mean, that happens. And I'm like, and it was like, so I got laid off or let go from the Marriott on like September 20 something. It was literally the day after they called me and told me that I had lost my they told you, your position has been eliminated, due to COVID and stuff like that. The day after is when I got the call for the show.
Wow.
I was like, this is meant.
What a roller coaster. Yeah, like you just...
Well, because I knew that it was coming. I knew like it was coming. I was like, this is... Because you saw it happening everywhere else. And I was like, okay, I'm going to lose my job eventually. So I had started looking and applying wherever, the few places that were hiring. So when it happened, it was so real. And I was like, oh, shit. I'm like, what now? Which when I moved to San Antonio, my mindset was start your own business, build a clientele and do that. That's where I was. But knowing I still had my job in Chicago was still a comfort zone. So to get that umbilical cord cut, it was like, uh-oh. So, and then to get that call the next day, I'm like, oh my God, like what is freaking happening? I was like, it was just like, I'm pretty sure I cried. I was just like, oh my God, I was so confused. I mean, not that this was like a job or anything, but it was still an opportunity.
Of course. And
it was exposure. So that was my mindset. I was like, I got to go here. I got to like show who I am and just, I'm like, because that was like everybody's mindset actually going into the show. We were all, because like even on the set, sometimes they were like, me and Juan were always joking. We were like in the green room and stuff, we were dancing and we would play. So when we got on set, sometimes they would try and get us to dance and stuff. And we were like, We were like, no, we're
It's a competition.
Well, we were like, it's unprofessional. And we didn't know who was going to see this or how it's going to be portrayed. And we were all unemployed. So we were like, I was like, I can't be seen dancing in the kitchen. And these people might want to hire me. So it was just always like real weird. We never really did it. We would do like a little, none of it ever made it to the show, which is funny. But they tried so hard for us to do it. And our mindset was like, no, you're not doing like, we have to be as professional as we can, because this may be our only exposure and opportunity to get a job after this, because we don't know, because COVID was like in game then. Nobody had an idea of what was next.
Massive showcase opportunity for your career, essentially.
Right. And you never want to come off as unprofessional. I mean, that's my thing going into it. I don't know what made me go into it being completely vulnerable. Well, I guess just like my therapy is like, my therapist is like, what have you being guarded done for you?
Right.
And I could never give any positives of what it's done. I could just give negatives. So she was like, so what is the negative of going in it being completely vulnerable? And I was like, well, in my mind, I make up all this stuff, but it was like, in reality, it was nothing. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go and I'm going to just relax and be me and be exposed. And hopefully it comes off well. Because one of my things, I didn't want to come off as the angry Black woman. And I felt like me being guarded would have made me look angry.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't want to be like the angry Black woman / bitch.
Okay. So Melissa got the bitch title. It's like that's how the show portrayed her, at least. That's how the show. I'm just saying. I'm not. If she's watching, that's what the show said. That's what the vibe I got. I don't.
That's what Twitter says.
That's what Twitter. Okay. Well, if Twitter said it, I mean, then it's got to be the truth.
Twitter is a beast. I mean, Twitter even I get ripped apart. They were like, "Oh, Tyricia's such a soft, insecure." I'm like,
don't listen to these comments. Do not.
Oh my God.
They're the worst. You can upload videos of, I've said this before, like, you can upload videos of rainbows and people will be like, well, those aren't real rainbows. Like, they'll find a reason to hate whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter what it is.
I think one day I fell down the rabbit hole of going through like all the tweets. Cause like somebody called me, was like, they were like, have you searched your name on Twitter? I'm like, no. And they were like, you should. And I was like, well, they had like a lot of good ones. But one day I found out the rabbit hole. I ended up seeing like a couple negative ones or whatever. And then I think I had got a couple like messages on Instagram that were kind of like, weird.
Right.
And I'm like, I text my cousin. I was like, I think I made a video. In the moment, I just kind of made a video. And I sent it to my cousin. I was like, can I post this? Because I just like, I kind of knew I shouldn't, but I was like, let me ask for a second opinion. And I sent it to her and she called me and she was like, hell no. She was like, because in the video, it was like me trying to overly exaggerate or trying to tell people that, because I feel like some people, very few, got that I wasn't a confident woman from my portrayal on the show. So I was like, these people don't know me, because I mean, I'm like very confident and like no one, whatever. So in the video, I'm like talking about, I'm very confident, and she was like, hell no. She was like, don't pay attention to them.
It's like such a small majority or some minority of people. You don't.
Right. And then she was like, if you open that door, then it's going to be way more people that walks in. And I was like,
it's like an itch that you shouldn't scratch. That's how I describe that. You don't want to scratch it. It's there. It'll go away, but don't scratch it. It'll get worse. Right.
So it's just like, she was like, those couple people don't know what they're talking about. They have their own personal issues that they're reflecting on you. I'm like, okay. I'm like, because I didn't think I came off as like what they're saying. So to me, it was like, and then she was like, the people who know you know that you're not that. So that's all that matters. Like, why do you have to prove it to these few people that don't even know, whatever? I'm like, okay. Yeah. So like, yeah. So Twitter is
avoid Twitter.
Crazy. I mean, they have really good people on Twitter, and then it's like, crazy. I mean,
there's enough crazy to Yeah, to fill up a stadium.
Yeah.
What was the show like? It was like, I heard that, they say 8 hours or 16 hours. Like some of these shoots, I'm a little curious behind the scenes stuff, how that worked.
So the pastry portions were 4 hours, like the individual competitions. And depending on, the shortest chocolate competition we had, I think it was the 8 hours. That's when I did the thing with Melissa. And then I think it went up to 16 and 18 hours.
How does that work? How do you do 16 hours of chocolatiering or whatever you want to pastry? How do you do 16 hours of this?
Stressed.
Yeah, right. You're competing for 16 hours.
I don't think I'm allowed to say. I'm not supposed to say.
Okay, no worries. Yeah, if there's something you can't say, just don't say it, yeah, or I'll edit it out.
Yeah, I don't think I'm supposed to say.
No problem. Because I know they're doing season 2, so the show did clearly well. I mean,
are they?
I'm pretty sure they announced season 2. I could be wrong. Wow, I could look like a total ass right now. Chocolate. I'll Google it. Season 2. What are you? You got some insights that conflicts with my sources? Is that what you're saying?
No, I haven't heard anything, and I was wondering. I'm like, are they going to? I told Chef, so the day the show came out, he did a Zoom call with all of us. And we're just like kind of talking. He just wanted to know where we were and what we're doing. And I was like, if they do a season 2, it'd be great if you brought me back as your assistant. I'm
That's
like
smart.
trying to plant my seeds. I'm like, it'd be great if you brought me back to help, that's before we even got all the good feedback about his and our connection. So it was like,
I was going to bring that
even
up.
more so.
I was going to bring that up because there was such
not bring it up.
Yeah, there was such a bond. Like, I'm like, are they going to go out for a drink after? Like, I'm so what is going on? Chef is not, I was like, Chef is not being this nice to anyone. What is happening right now? Like,
I don't know. I just remember it happened like on that first episode when I was on my rolling pin and I was pouring my chocolate and it was all pouring out. And I was kind of like, I was at the point of where I wanted to like inside break down and cry, but I was like,
hold it together. Yeah.
And I looked up and he was looking direct, like we made eye contact and I saw that he wanted to help me so bad. And I was like, that's when he was like, can I help you? And I'm like, please. And ever since then, I don't know. It was just like, he knew I was there to learn,
yeah.
I guess. I don't know what it was.
Well, you manifested that.
Really?
I think you manifested that because you said you were going to go in and be a little more vulnerable. And I think that showed a lot of humanity. And it's like, okay, well, I see this person that really wants to learn more than anyone here. Why wouldn't I, do what I can to pass on that knowledge?
I think that, I feel like, the stars were aligning and it was the connection. It was like, he knew what I truly wanted. And it was there. So, I didn't know it was as it was perceived on the show. Everything that was on the show was genuine. A lot of people say, is it just the editing and stuff like that? To me, that what you saw on the show, for the most part, it was worse.
Really? It was worse?
Oh, definitely.
Wow.
A lot of situations were way worse than what you saw.
Really?
But it was still good. Yeah, like even on that ooze episode, it made me look good on the ooze episode because in real life, I was a hot mess. I cried on that episode.
Oh, they didn't show that?
I was so happy. I had a full breakdown. I'm not supposed to say that either, but
I'll edit it out.
I had a full breakdown in that episode.
Yeah. I'm sure Chef is going to reach out after this pod. I can't believe she said all this. She's definitely not coming back for season 2 after that. Nah, just kidding.
No, I don't think I said anything to make him mad.
No, that's great though. It's so funny because originally the show was something I found and my girlfriend was like, this is stupid or whatever. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like they're making chocolate like castles and like cool shit. Like how are we not going to watch this? So like the first 10 minutes of the show, she's watching and I'm like my eyes are out. I'm like, holy shit, this guy made all this with chocolate? She's like, well, that's not that crazy. And then, I don't know, something came up that was super crazy. And she's like, oh, okay, this is crazy. Like, she finally gave in. She finally cracked. And then we just binged the entire season, I think, in a night.
Yeah.
So what did that do for you?
So,
Like, what did the show do for you? Was it like a lot of people reach out, after that, opportunities? Or what changed, if anything?
I don't know what it changed yet.
No, okay, all right. Fair.
Besides the amount of followers I have on Instagram, to me, it actually kind of like, I feel like with me not actually being in the industry right now and I'm trying to do my own thing and stuff like that, it's kind of like retracted me back. Like, I feel like,
okay.
I'm like, what do I do now? I feel like it's even more pressure because, again, like on the show, I never want to let anybody down and stuff like that. And now I have all these people who are messaging me and like want to see me do so well. I'm like,
right, you have a new audience that has to like want you to succeed.
God, now these people are watching. You really can't mess up, Tyricia. So it's kind of that. So I reached out to Chef a couple weeks ago, or like a couple months ago, or a couple weeks. And I was like, Chef, I need to talk. I need to figure out what's next for me. I was like, because I'm kind of lost. And I, with the whole COVID thing, I don't know which direction to go in. And he was like, okay, so what have you been doing? I was like, well, I've been doing my own thing, doing a couple pop-ups here and there and stuff like that. He was like, well, I hope he doesn't get mad at me telling people this. But he was like, I don't really know what pop-ups are and stuff like that. He was like, whatever. He's like, I think that you should, he said, I think you should either go back and he's like, I know you don't want to go back into the industry, but he's like, I think you should either go back into the industry, be it a hotel, resort, whatever, management, executive pastry chef type position, and get like 2 to 3 more years experience. He said, I think that'll do you. And he said, I feel like that'll make you like fully rounded and get you to where you want to be. And then you can go and do your own thing. He was like, I know you're like older and stuff. He said something about me being older or something like that.
Chef is ruthless. Like, what the hell?
Well, he didn't mean, he's French. He doesn't mean it that way.
Yeah.
I've worked for French chefs. They don't mean anything by it. They're just really honest.
Right.
Which I love. He was like, I don't know if you're like in a rush to do anything. I feel like it'd be better for you to do it now. And then later when you're like older, you can just do whatever you want,
Right.
And he was like, I think that's an option. Or he said, or I think you should come to my school. He was like, I think you come do my program, get a refresher in all the, in vinaiserie and all the different things, and get to experience the master classes, etc. And he's like, and then you go do your own thing. He was like, so that's 2 options.
That's really cool that he's like helping you out even after that, and you're still like in contact, and he still wants you to succeed. That's really nice. Yeah.
That blew my mind. Like when he did the Zoom with us the day the show came out, he was like, "You need anything? Just email me or send a DM." His wife manages his social media. He's like, she'll see it and we'll respond. He's like, just don't rush me or anything like that. Right. I was like, well, which I know. I'm like, the man is very busy. So I mean, for him to even open my messages, I'm like, oh my God, thank God, So yeah. So I mean, I'm thinking I really kind of want to go to his school just to experience that or whatever. But I think I have to do like a GoFundMe to get me there, because I mean, it's a 10-week program. So I would have to still pay my rent here, pay my bills here, find somewhere to live there, and then also pay for the schooling, which he is. I don't know if I should say that. He's going to give me a discount.
Very nice. Thank you, Chef.
A discounted rate.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that opportunity. I talked to Juan about it, and Juan's like, "Oh, definitely." I wish I could go.
Oh no, okay. Did he do it? Did he do the
who?
Juan? Did he do that? The school?
No.
The 10-week. Do
Chef.
you know anyone that did it?
No.
Not
personally.
Interesting.
I met one of Chef's students on the show. She was like an assistant, like in the background, like she was never on the camera, but she helped him. She did his program. I mean, and she was really good and cool.
That's cool. May I ask a question? Why haven't you made any content or anything like in like social media related things, or a YouTube channel or something like that? Is that not a third option that was ever brought up?
I intended to straight out of the. I want to do that. It's
What's the hurdle? What's the problem? I guess that you're having.
Me?
Yeah. Oh, that's you. Okay, you're the.
I'm the problem. Well, it's not me actually recording the content. It's like I'm real critical of what I do. So
You'd feel exposed if you put that out there, almost in a sense, or no?
I don't think it's more so maybe so the exposed, but it's just like I don't think it's good enough to show or
come on. Are you crazy? Have you seen what's on the internet? You're being way too harsh. And you have to start somewhere. Like everyone, I mean, even my first content I ever made it's horrendous. It's unwatchable. I can't look at it today. But the point is you get better from it. So it's like learning how to cook. You got to make some crappy food first. You got to make some crappy content.
That's me. I'm afraid to make crappy content. So I get like my anxiety overwhelms with it and I get paralyzed and I just don't do it. I really wish I had somebody else to like record it and do it.
I gotcha.
I mean,
it is a lot of work.
That costs money.
It is a lot, yeah.
Well, it's not even the work part. It's just like then I won't see it until it's done, and there's no one.
Yeah.
I can't because if I get it and I'm like, oh, this isn't good, I'm not gonna finish it. I'm not gonna post it. Right. If somebody else does it and it's like, okay, and they like it's good, or they just do it and post it, I have no choice. I need it to be out of my hands because I'm on the show. They didn't show it, and it was like a really good moment. I feel like for me in this factor, like with my the ooze heart in the judging. In the judging, Chef always asked us, he was like, what would you grade yourself? That's how he always started. They never showed that. He would ask us, what would you grade yourself? We would give ourselves a grade. And then he would go on to do his
evaluation.
Analysis. Right, his evaluation. So, and he had a scale that's like 1 to 10. 10, well, I think like 7 being you would sell it in your shop. And I think I gave myself on the heart like a 5. And he was like, so you wouldn't sell this at your shop? And I was like, no. And he was like, have you been to some shops? And I was like,
right.
And he was like, they sell stuff worse than this. And I was like, you asked me if I would sell it in my shop. Right. And I said, he was like, I said, I wouldn't sell it in my shop because there's flaws. I said, as me being the owner, if I was to put this item out, my workers would see it and then start to take shortcuts. And then eventually my product wouldn't be what I want it to be. So I said, so in that reason, I would not sell it in my shop. And he was like, he was like, okay, I understand. But he's like, you're being really tough on yourself. And I was like,
yeah,
I was kind of like, I don't know what to say.
It's like, well, that's me, Chef. I don't know what to tell you.
I'm like, you asked me my opinion and here it is. And he was like, he kind of just shook his head and he went on and he was just like, this is, it was really good and stuff. And I'm like,
well, I wonder how Chef's first work was when he did like his first or his early days of making stuff. Like, I'm sure it wasn't to what it is now, obviously. So
Chef actually did a TV show.
Fuck, he's a prodigy.
He actually did a TV show like competition in France. I don't remember the name of it, but he told us about it on the show and like we Googled it and like we would sneak and watch it. I think he was 21 when he was on the show. He didn't win. I don't even think he was like in the top 4.
Really?
I don't know.
Wow.
Don't quote me.
I'm quoting you right now. It's already done. You've made it's on the internet.
Well, he didn't win.
Yeah.
He didn't win. And he made it, he would say this often on the show, I guess, when we would get into the competition mode too much. He was like, remember, I didn't win that show. But you don't know who the person who won that show is. He would say something like that.
Oh.
You would just kind of...
That's like a Kobe quote for like cooking or like, damn, that's ruthless. Holy shit.
Oh my God, he might kill me for saying that. I don't know, we should put that on there. Because then other people are going to hear like the person who won and might be like, I don't know. Ooh.
All right.
Chef, I'm sorry. I talk too much.
But that just shows you that kind of like, he's also a competitor, obviously. That's where he's at his life because he is that driven. That's why he succeeded in these things.
Right,
like,
exactly.
That's the bigger picture there. Not that he's dissing someone, but he's saying like, listen, I continued working and like
Mm-hmm.
there's a lesson there as well, that you don't have to be at the first, and then
at
finish.
the top. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, I mean,
we gotta make you. We were talking about you making content, so we got to figure out how the hell to do that.
Right.
I mean, the people need to see that. I don't know how. But people want this. People want content now.
They do.
I'm sure you get messaged all the time about, wait, where's the? Because when I YouTube your name, I don't find anything. I'm like, holy crap! Not even like a stupid video from 5 years ago that you tried, like, with like a flip phone or something, or I don't know.
I think I might have, but I think it might be on like my best friend name. Like I remember we did a video, but I don't know what that video was, and I don't know if I want somebody to find it.
Someone's gonna be looking for it. My best friend.
I remember we posted it one time, and her mom got mad at us. It's like before the age. It was like beginning ages of YouTube or something. But yeah, so I try my hardest. I do a lot of like my exercise content on my Instagram just because I don't know why I could do that so easily. I'm like, it is.
Yeah, why do you do that? Yeah, you do a lot of, actually, that I remember. Yeah, you do have a lot of like workout videos. I'm like, is this a workout Instagram channel?
I know, right? I know. That's what it looks like. Well, I lost a bunch of weight in the last 2 years. So
nice.
It's just like, I'm just, it's something that manages my anxiety.
I gotcha.
So. But yeah, I make a food video here and there, but it's like.
Do those videos get more like traction than the workout videos? Like when you make a food video or food post?
I don't know. I have to go back and see.
Maybe look into that, because if it does, then it clearly tells you people want food content. I'm just saying. I'm not an expert, but I'm just saying.
They do. They definitely want it. And then it's also like, I just kind of cook on my own. Like sometimes I just like, I want some brioche, and I just go and start doing it. And by the time that I realize I should be recording, it's like I'm almost done.
I gotcha.
So I'm like, do I start all over just for the video content, or like
I love cooking content. I think that's such a great path for you. I think cooking content with like your personality, I don't know. To me, that seems like a lot of potential there. And once you make these videos, even if it's like basic stuff, like, I don't know, burritos or whatever, that's there forever. Like people can look for that for years to come. And there's real value there in many ways. One, you can make like ad revenue, obviously, but you never know. Maybe sometimes a video does well, but then it's another like showcase of your skill set. So it's like a video portfolio of what you can make. So I don't know.
So that was my thing. I was like, it's easier for me to just to make video content of like me just cooking like savory than it is pastry.
Start with that.
I know people are going to be like,
no.
People are going to want to like.
People are always going to say whatever the hell they want. You can't change. It's like trying to change a wave. You can't do it. It's always going to hit the shore. You try it. See what happens.
I follow that lady. I don't know her Instagram name, but she got a show on Oprah's channel.
Oh, wow. She
makes such good videos. I'm like, I just want to do a video like that. Why can't I do that?
She didn't start like that. She had a horrendous, you got to remember, like, no one starts that good. Like,
well, you don't see them until they're good. Because your feed all of a sudden.
On the upside, then you won't have to worry about exposure because no one's going to see the crappy videos. So once you get good, everyone's going to see them.
Got it. Yeah. I'm
really bullying you into making content now. This is what the podcast has turned into, me bullying you into.
No, you aren't the only one. Like, people are like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. And I'm like, I even told people, I was like, well, I don't know how to edit and stuff. And they were like, I've had like a guy who did an interview. He's like the videographer. He was like, here's my card. I'll help you. And I'm like, Jesus.
Now you're not asking for it, but now you're getting the help that you didn't want.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, so I can't use that excuse anymore.
Yeah. If you need help with YouTube stuff like thumbnails, anything like that, you let me know. I have a little bit of experience there. So there you go. You can check that off the list as well.
Okay. I don't know. But then I feel like it'd be better if I had like, if it wasn't just me by myself in the front of the camera. If it was like me.
No, wrong. Nope. We just want to see you. That's wrong. I'm going to say that right now. I'm trying to deter you from the wrong paths. No, people want to see you for you and your personality.
Yeah. Me and when we were on the show, when they were still trying to figure out what direction they were going to go, Juan and I were always saying we wanted a like a spinoff on our own after the show, like a YouTube channel or something like that.
Starsky and Hutch.
Where we would have
yeah.
where we would have people come on, we would cook and we would gossip and dance.
Nice.
And like they on the show, I don't know if I'm supposed to say, it's probably not because it didn't make the camera. So yeah, they told us don't say anything that wasn't on TV. So,
okay, no worries.
So like one time we like they was like, okay, just act like if you had your show. So like Juan and I were like, well, we're gonna get Fiona to be our first guest as Chef's wife. Like we kind of just sat there. We were hoping they brought her on, they didn't.
Oh.
But we're like just gossiping where we're like, okay, now we're gonna make some Saint Honoré or something. And then like we went and made that, and it was just like we were like, we need to pitch it in case, in case we don't get a job, we can get a spin-off YouTube channel.
Right.
Which I feel like if I was like with Juan, like if I was still in Chicago, we would have, it would be a question about the content and stuff like that. Cause we kind of push each other out of our comfort zones. But here I'm like,
is there no one here is there no one in your area right now that does something similar that you can maybe collab with or kind of help each other out? Or is that just, you don't want to trust certain people? And obviously when yeah, I get it.
I think it's just me.
Yeah, I mean,
there's people. There's a girl here who does a lot of like TikTok type videos, and I'm pretty sure she has a big following. It's just that she only does cakes or like cakes and cupcakes and stuff. She kind of has my personality for the most part. It's just like, how do I just start? How do I like? I feel like when the camera comes on, yeah. I'm like. I don't know what to do.
It takes practice, like anything. It takes practice.
Yeah,
she's natural at it, or she seems natural. She's not. Obviously, she is now, but
Right. So yeah. So I'm gonna try. I'm working on it. I'm trying my hardest.
Fair enough. Beautiful. Believe it or not, we've talked for an hour and 20. And that's...
I see. I'm sorry.
No, it's my fault. I didn't even realize that we were over. I don't know if I kept you...
I don't even know how long it was supposed to be.
It doesn't... It's as long as you have time. I'm hopefully nothing got burnt in the kitchen. That's my only concern.
No. That was the only thing I put in the oven.
Well, thank you so much for being a guest. I'll leave all your information and everywhere I post the stuff. Eats by Tea Cakes, your business handle on Instagram. And you're delivering what locally in what area? Are you, or am I?
Baton Rouge right now, okay. Depending. I'll go further for a delivery fee.
Okay, so you're trying to do like nationwide shipping and stuff like that, or like at least.
Yes, I plan on getting into doing. I'm just trying to find out what's the best to ship. So I'm trying to get into more of doing like the chocolate buns, because I know that could ship easily. It's just like with certain pastries and stuff you don't want to, or it's just going to cost so much for shipping that I feel like.
That's another business that's really tough to kind of perfect. It's going to take some time. But yeah,
especially UPS and FedEx have been horrible.
Right.
So I just don't trust. I was testing out before the show came out. I was testing out like these brownie cookie boxes where I just baked them and I sent them to a couple friends. I have friends like not everywhere, but spread abroad enough. And some of the stuff they got,
much destroyed, really?
Oh my God. My friend called me and she was like, I just heard a thud at the door. She was like, he must have literally threw it. And she opened it and showed me the picture and it was like destroyed. And I was like, and me as the chef, I just can't imagine doing that and people receiving, because I don't want them to think that's how I want them to get the best thing possible. So, I've talked to this, the owner of this company, Blondery. She does blondies and brownies that she ships. And I like what she did and stuff like that. So, I'm trying to get into it. I'm trying to get more content out there so I can get, sponsors and all that. So I have to work on it. I'm trying.
If you're dropping the merch, let me know. I'd like to.
Oh, I'm definitely dropping the merch.
The shirt.
I'm waiting on my samples. I'm waiting on my samples soon. So
beautiful. Beautiful. Once again, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed having you.
Thank you. I appreciate you reaching out, wanting me to do this.
Anytime. If you ever want to come back, you're opening a business, I'll talk about cakes all day. I don't care.
Oh, okay, cool.